I don't want to snap to judgment. Snap. That was a horrible snap. Snap. Oh, boy. Look how much stronger the right hand snap is. Watch this. The left hand should be, you should be embarrassed. Yeah. Today we're going to play, we've played this game before. Oh, hey, my name's Steven. Don't trust this man. Today we're going to play a game we've played before called I Had Half a Thought. Let's finish it now in real time. Here's the thought. So I was out a little date night last night, me and the wife, and I was driving. That's how I drive. I pull the steering wheel right in front of my face and just kind of like move. I had this thought. I thought, I'm figuring out what kind of husband I now want to be. So we've been married this August. We will have been married, my wife and I, 19 years. All 19 years to each other. And so it might seem weird for me to have that thought, right? I was thinking, I'm discovering, I'm deciding, I'm learning what type of husband I want to be. And I think it's because I think what I meant, and I think where that thought came from, is the idea that I'm growing. Obviously, as a person, I believe I'm growing as a result of, and because I am, as a result of following Jesus, and because I am a follower of Jesus and his teachings, etc. I am what, at one point in life and history, I would have been glad to say I am a Christian. Now I don't know what that means in America. More on that later. Anyway, so because of that, because of what I'll call the work of God in my life, I'm different now than I was 19 years ago. I'm different today than I was yesterday, if only by a wee little bit. But over the course of 19 years of days married to this person, I've undergone changes. I've become somewhat different. And I hope that generally speaking, those changes are for the better. Some maybe not. But as I look back on the husband I was when this all began, there are things that I definitely don't like and that I see less of now. And so I think as I look ahead, I think to myself, what behaviors, what emotions, what thoughts, what actions, what dreams will take the place of the things that have gone before that have been made better, that have been removed, that have been changed. I know we can be our own worst critics, but when I think about the husband I was in the early days, I'm not thrilled. I have never been, and I think my wife will corroborate this, I have never been physically abusive. I don't think I've ever been verbally abusive, but I was definitely emotionally deficient. And I behaved from a place of fear and insecurity, selfishness, often. Not all the time. I mean, one of the deepest well springs of gratitude in my life is that in our life together, my wife and I and then our family, at every stage of our life, this might be odd, this is how I think about it, we've had laughter. We've been through some hellacious moments. We've lived in some hellacious places, and we've walked through some hellacious things. That's the triple hellacious, by the way. You get a free sub if you get 3 hellaciouses in one episode. And the sub is hellacious. But at every point, every job I've had, every ministry experience, every difficult night, every sick kid moment, every bad diagnosis, every failure, every hope, every dashed hope, every election, at every point in our lives, I can remember moments when we laughed as a couple and as a family, and I'm so grateful for that. So it's not, I don't want to paint an overly stark picture, but I remember the bad that I did or the bad that I was. I remember the bad things because I want to be better. And so I think about how the way my insecurities and my fears and my emptinesses, my brokenness manifested itself was I had a temptation towards being controlling. I had a tendency towards being overbearing, pouting to get my way, being overly sensitive. It's unhealthy, codependent, all that stuff. And so as I sit in front of you now, those things are still there. I'm still me. I still have insecurities. Remember the whole weight conversation, right? I have insecurities about how I look, about how I'm perceived. I have insecurities about the fact that I hope this expression's okay. think it is. I married way up. So it's like, I worry that or I could be tempted to worry that one day my wife will go, oh, right. And then be like, what? But I worry about that less than I ever did before. So even though I'm still me, I am less those things than I was. And so I think I was thinking as we were driving to get some pizza, I was thinking, how am I going to be? What will it look like to not be controlling? What does it mean for me? What do I need to be careful of? What do I need to watch for? Or maybe I was thinking too, like, maybe it was a reminder in a weird way to not forget history lest I repeat it. So what actions will I take moving forward to forestall the actions I don't want to recreate? Maybe that's it. So that's that. And then I was trying to think of like salient points I could make to maybe be helpful for you wherever you are, whether you're a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a life partner or uh, just a friend, or maybe you're a son or a daughter. I mean, relationships are, in some sense, relationships. I know the marital one is unique in a lot of ways. And to be really clear, I don't think it matters if your situation is husband, husband, wife, wife, husband, wife. I think these dynamics are the same. So I was trying to think about what's a good, like, hey, so just be encouraged. I thought of a couple. I'd love to get three just because that's the thing to do, right? But the first thing I thought of, interestingly enough, is that marriage is hard. It is so hard. It's difficult. It's tiring. It's frustrating. It's perplexing. It will grind you down. It will make you question everything about everything. But it's worth it. It's worth it to make a promise to someone and to fully understand, or not fully understand, but to slowly and gradually grow in comprehension of what it means to mean the promise you made. It's amazing. For all my insecurities, I don't want to be younger. Like, I don't want to go back. I don't wish I could go back and whatever. I feel the same way about our marriage. I don't want to go back to when we were 3 years in or when we were in our 20s and do things different. I am so thankful for where things are now, because all that difficult stuff, all that pain, all that pressure, all those frustrations, they bear good fruit. And that's not to be dismissive or flippant about the troubles and trials that life brings. That's not to diminish the weight and the sheer pressure of the things of life, particularly if you find yourself in the middle of something really horrible and terrible. I don't want to be so glib as to say, just hold on, it'll be great. Because if it's bad, it's bad. But I have to say, because it's true for me, that all the things that have made marriage difficult, I believe have been part of the melange, part of the casserole, part of the milieu, whatever. They've all been part of what makes marriage for me today so wonderful. So that's two. I can do three. Marriage is hard. Marriage is worth it. And it's totally fine if you don't think God's at work in your life and you don't believe in God, you don't believe God works. That's totally fine. I still want to say this, that this is something I've learned about marriage in particular and God in general, is that God is good to work on us. So in other words, in this case, God has used my marriage to make me different. I suppose if I were Catholic, I would say that this is a clear example of marriage being a sacramental. It is sacramental, and that is one of the ways by which we cooperate with the work of God's grace in our lives. I'm not a Catholic, but I think all that stuff is true that I just said. Marriage is one of the ways the ways God has changed me, and I think it might be one of the single greatest ways. That, and obviously parenting, and then people in my life and friends and work, and yes, trials and tribulations. God has used all those things, and He's used joy and laughter and sometimes money. To recognize that God is working in my life is to remember that God is good to me, even though really bad things have happened. And theodicy, the problem of pain. One, greater minds have tackled it. I'm not going to try now. Two, yeah, no, that's it. That's for another episode. Maybe we'll try. All I'm saying is, having that thought yesterday, going one step back from my marriage reminds me that God is actually working inside of me. When it feels like He's abandoned me, when it feels like the situation I've been praying to change will never change, when it feels like I can't sort of chart or map what he's doing in my life or why when it feels like nothing makes sense. It's good sometimes to remember it, and it's good to be able to look at a portion of my life and say, oh, he's not abandoned me. I'm not alone. He is changing me. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't just for 1 minute mention the inauguration and the Women's March and all that stuff. I am not talking about any of that by design. I don't know what to say yet. I know what to say about the protests on Saturday, the marches. I'm just so thankful they happened. I'm going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm just so thankful they happened. Yeah, I'm crying. I don't know what it means to face the reality that to a large extent, or to a larger extent than I ever would have dreamed, the gospel lives outside of the church. I don't know how to handle that. And I don't think I have to have a grasp on everything before I can talk about it with you folks. That's kind of part of that's part of this. Let's sort it out together. But the best I can come up with over the past 4 or 5 days has just been a string of expletives. And that may not be helpful. We'll talk about it again, but I need a minute. I've mentioned this before. Let me just say it again, that Jerry Falwell Jr. doesn't speak for me. Neither does Paula White, nor Franklin Graham, nor those believers who would say that our president heralds a new day and a ray of hope for our country. They don't speak for me. And my prayer for you, particularly if you belong, I've said this before too, I'm just going to say it again, then I'll be done. If you find yourself in one of the groups that is currently or has historically been marginalized by people of faith, I'm sorry. I ask for your forgiveness on our behalf. And I want you to know that your life has value. And I believe Jesus cherishes you and always will. See, I can't talk about it yet. I'm just not there. So give me some time. But anyway, yeah, great. Email me. Email me. Listen, this is weird. You don't even have to email me a topic. If you just want to talk or say, hey, I've appreciated the emails that I've received from folks. Adam, thanks. Love to get some emails. Do all the social stuff, whatever. Let's interact. Yada, yada, yada. Stephen at don'ttrustthisman.net. Until we're together again, be well.